analyst and executive director, Patriot for Advancement of Peace and Social Development. He joins me live from our Abuja studio. Dr. Shinkafi, thanks for joining us on the program.
Okay, thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. I was asking earlier the feelers you're getting from the North, especially from critical stakeholders, following the decision, the latest decision of the Nigeria Governors Forum on the issue of the tax reform bills.
Yeah, there is a serious commendation, and it's a welcome development from the northern region, because these governors, are the leaders in the region, and they have a lot of fellowship in the northern Nigeria. When they say no to policies, then people will now abide by their calls. And now when they have unanimously agreed to accept the policies, then it is a welcome development, because these governors will not do anything against the interests of their people in the region. So it's a welcome development, looking at the last misconception and miscommunication, but now following the wider consultation between the Presidential Committee, Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, that is Dr. Taiwo Oyedele. They have a parliament meeting with the Nigerian Governors Forum, and now yesterday came out with a resolution which is also acceptable to the Northern Extraction and also the entire governors in Nigeria. Let me refresh your memory. Last year, it is the Nigerian Governors Forum and National Economic Council, and also some traditional rulers and religious clerics who have rejected in totality the Nigerian tax reform bill. But looking at the positive part of the bill, and now finally yesterday, 16 January 2025, the entire Northern Governors Forum resolved to accept the new tax reform bill in order to bring the fiscal fiscal policy stability and tax reform. So it's a welcome development, and our people in the northern Nigeria also are ready to go by the resolutions of the Nigerian Governors Forum, looking at how they have the resolution they have made. They have made a very significant resolution, that is the 50% of the total VAT collection should be based on equality. Then the 30% should be based on derivation, or the point of collection. Then the 20% is based on the population density of the state, including FCT.
Dr. Shinkafi,
and they have met on in the...
Allow me to jump in if I can. Let's just dwell there for a bit. I'm wondering what you make of that resolution vis-a-vis the excitement that followed the initial presentation of the bills. The VAT, which appears to be the most contentious part, the governors have endorsed sharing a sharing formula of VAT proceeds on the basis of 50% equality. That's same of same. What the tax committee was presenting earlier was a 60% derivation, which will now mean that more money will go to where the money is made. What does this mean for this reform, especially when you consider the fact that the whole idea is to discontinue doing the same thing the same way?
Yeah, you see, in line with the Fiscal Responsibility Act, it is a policy which was also an act of National Assembly that will now give a government a direction how to go about government spending. So this issue of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, the tax reform is long overdue, because some of these, if you look at the reforms are being categorized into 4 reforms. Some of the reforms, the first reform is Nigerian tax bill. Then the 2024, then the second reform is Nigerian Revenue Establishment Bill. That is to now change the name of Federal Revenue Services to Nigerian Revenue Services Bill. Then the other one is Nigerian Tax Administration Bill. Then lastly, the Joint Revenue Establishment Board Bill. So these are four bills. When the bill was transmitted to National Assembly by the arms of the executives, that is by the president, it needs some legislations because there are some tax laws about the enactment of a Nigerian tax bill will lead to the repeal of 11 laws, and also 13 other laws will experience consequential amendment. So, looking at the whole bill, the governors now critically look at that. They cannot throw away the bathwater with the baby. So that's why they now look at it and now reduce the 60% of the derivation to 30%, and now increase the other one on equality, that is the 50, to take the part of the percentage to the equality base, and the other one on population. So that's it. There is some misconception and miscommunication, and some people have now publicized the policy. With the tax reform bill is long overdue.
Good thing is that the governors now say they support the continuation of the legislative process at the National Assembly, and this is expected to now culminate in the eventual passage of the bills. But when you consider the political tension that followed these bills, especially last year, what does this say about our current political climate and how susceptible it is for reforms and change of this nature?
Yeah, you see, this issue of any bill being transmitted to the National Assembly by the executive arms of government, it needs to go public scrutiny, and also it needs to go legislation. And this legislation, will, if it is going to be legislated, should go to the two houses of the National Assembly. That is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Each and every clause of the bill has to go under a legislative scrutiny. And they have to take the policy which will be for the welfare or for the betterment of the citizens of Nigeria. So I think when the Governors Forum make a wider consultation and they saw the benefit, they see the benefit of the bill is more advantageous than the disadvantage of the bill. So, and these governors are representative of the people.
Absolutely. Mr. President met with some of the governors earlier this year, and the conversation really has to do with whether or not the subnationals are playing enough role in, the development of this country in the aftermath of some of the major policy changes we've seen under this administration. Mr. President is saying, following the removal of fuel subsidy, the allocation they get is now more than double. Do you think that all of the conversations we've had around the tax reform bill is a wake-up call to governors to look more inside and, fire up IGR rather than counting on what they get from the center?
You see, the issue, what have happened in 2024, the presentation of the national reform bill is a wake-up call to all the governors. The governors should now wake up and they start defending on the federal allocation. They find a way to improve the internal generated revenue in their various state. If looking at the component of the value-added tax, it's a tax for consumable goods. So, like in the northern Nigeria, if the governors can develop agriculture and also harness the abundant solid mineral resources in their state, then the government will have a way to boost internal revenue, even through payment of royalties at the center, even through the agriculture. If today the northern governors can revive agriculture, livestock development, poultry development, I think there's many ways to create employment, to fight poverty, and also to generate revenue. Then if the state governors are able to join hands with some private sectors to develop the abundant solid minerals, there is a higher demand of these rare elements like copper, lithium, gold, platinum, which is an abundant, including rhodium and uranium. If the government, if the northern state governors can exploit, not even the only northern state governors, like in Calabar, they have abundant, in Cross River, they have abundant solid mineral resources. So if they were able to exploit these abundant mineral resources, I think each and every state has the way to also increase the internal generated revenue, also increase the personal income per capita, and contribute to the gross domestic product of this country. So there is many ways to generate revenue if the governors are not reluctant, waiting for statutory allocation at the center. Let me take you far before the discovery of oil in 1958. Most of these basic infrastructures, which were established during Sardauna, Akintola, and other Mike Afara, are all from agriculture and solid minerals, not from fuel.
I'm just thinking whether or not, because we're wrapping up now, whether or not you think we are ready for the local government autonomy that is expected to come into full force, because there are conversations around, are we making governors accountable enough for more revenue that they are getting, the more allocation they're getting from the federal government? Now we're looking at the issue of equity shares and what have you that is coming from tax revenues. But what role do you see other stakeholders play when more resources come to subnationals, and whether or not they are pulling their weight to make life better for Nigerians rather than the culture of only looking at the center?
You see, the local government autonomy is a welcome development following the final pronouncement by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. The governors have no choice than to abide by the decision of the affairs court of the land. So I think it's a welcome development. If it will come into force, I think the local government in the 774 local government were able to develop their local governments, and also it will create employment, and also it will also bring some development. It will fight poverty. It will fight unemployment. So it's a welcome development, and the governor has to do everything humanly possible also to encourage the local government authorities to improve revenues. That is markets revenue, other revenues. And there's a lot of revenue in the local government.
Dr. Shinkafi,
revenue.
That's our time. Executive Director, Patriot for Advancement of Peace and Social Development, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Beyond 100 Days.
Thank you. God bless you.
Before we go on the show today, here's my parting shot. Mudashiru Obasa's removal as Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly has left some wondering what really went wrong. Just a few months shy of matching Adeyemi Kufuruji's 10-year tenure as Lagos Speaker, Mr. Obasa's removal serves as a stark reminder that power is transient. As a representative of Agege constituency since 2003 thereabout, Mr. Obasa had built a reputation as a formidable force in the Lagos politics and has carried himself as one who has his fingers on the right buttons of power. But his handling of relationships with the executive branch has been called into question. He didn't show sufficient respect for the office of the state governor, presently occupied by Babajide Sanwo-Olu, or so it seemed. Mr. Obasa's speech during the 2023 budget presentation on the 21st of November, where he emphasized his experience and age, has also been criticized as unnecessary and boastful, seen by many as an expression of pure arrogance. The infamous black shade incident, where he and his colleagues seemingly protested against the governor, only to have those same colleagues turn against him 2 months later, raises questions about loyalty and leadership. Journalists covering the State House Assembly have been reportedly barred for 2 years under the Obasa leadership, with their office under lock and key. Hopefully the new Speaker, Madam Speaker, will endear herself better with the media going forward. As we all reflect on Mr. Obasanjo's removal as Speaker, let's remember that true strength lies not in clinging to power, but in serving with integrity and humility. Power may be intoxicating, but it's not forever. The transience of power is a lesson that Mr. Obasanjo and all the politicians would do well to remember. Meanwhile, more than 48 hours, even beyond that now, after his impeachment, the man in the eye of the storm has been quiet. What does his silence mean in the face of allegations of gross misconduct, high-handedness, and mismanagement of funds? Will he return with a response or silently take his place as a regular member of the House? Guess time will tell. But everyone who witnessed this episode should learn a lesson or two on rising and still staying humble, even while at the top. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. See you soon.